We have here something very interesting. We have here a large copy, large poster size of the SU basketball team schedule, right? The basketball team schedule. And by the way, it reminds us, so we got a game coming up Sunday night, Georgia Tech, okay? But if you look at our schedule here, we see some of the top-rated teams in the country, right? These are tough teams. And when you kind of think about it, well, sometimes it sort of looks impossible, doesn't it, huh? Yet the team wins at times. Doesn't always win, but it does win. They seem to do what looks impossible. Well, in our gospel today, Jesus calls us to do something, to do things, to try as hard as we can to do things that look impossible. Try as hard as we can to do something that looks impossible. Let's take another look. He says, "You've heard it said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, offer no resistance to one who is evil. When someone strikes you on your right cheek, turn and offer the other as well. Love your enemies. Pray for them. God makes the sun rise on the bad as well as the good. And if you only love those who do good to you, what's so great about that? It's a call to be as compassionate as God is compassionate." That's a tall order, isn't it? What God is actually calling each one of us tonight to do is be so filled with the love of God that there's no room for anger or revenge. No room for hatred or revenge. And that's a tough challenge because of our own natural tendency, right? Our natural tendency. Someone hurts us, well, in one way or another, we kind of want to hurt them. How many times do we remember our kids saying, "But he hit me first," right? He hit me first. Well, reminds me of the story of one of our teenagers in the neighborhood over on the west side. He and his girlfriend were riding down the street on the bicycles, okay? Well, a driver apparently didn't see them, turned right, and accidentally hit them riding their bicycles. Well, the man quickly gets out of the car, goes up to them to see if they're okay, and help in any way he can. Well, the teenager gets up, goes to the man and hits him as hard as he can. So when we asked him, "Now, why did you do that?" He looked at it very simple. Simple. He hit me first. Well, as unusual as that sounds, it reminds us of just how natural it is to seek revenge of some kind. As a young teenager said, it's the law of the streets. You hit me, I hit you back. Well, Jesus was so connected to God that he knew a better way. He knew a higher power, stronger than even our own human nature. He was so connected to God that he knew the power of God's forgiveness, God's grace, and God's love. And he knew what that power can do. Remember, he was both God and man. He understands our own weaknesses and our own tendencies. He was God, but he's also a human being. He knows us humans and how we operate. But he knew the power of God's grace and what it can do. Because when we seek hatred and revenge, in a way, we're getting in the way of God's grace in the world. We're hindering that. But as much as that hinders God's work in the world, God's grace out there, love can make it grow. Love and forgiveness can make that power of God, that grace of God in the world grow. Sometimes all we can do is get out of the way and let God's love do the work. Get out of the way, let God do it. God can handle it. Let go, let God. You might have heard of St. Maximilian Kolbe. And St. Maximilian was the priest who was put in the Auschwitz concentration camp and who eventually would give his own life to save the life of another prisoner who had a family. Well, when an inmate asked Father Maximilian, shouldn't we hate the Nazis for what they're doing? Maximilian said, no, only love truly conquers. Only love conquers. And very shortly, St. Maximilian would give his life, trusting in that. We may have heard the words, darkness can't simply be driven out of the world. Only light can do that. Hatred can't drive out hatred. Only love can do that. When asked how does one deal with anger and revenge, I asked the inmates over at the Justice Center Mass last Sunday, and did they know something about anger and revenge? And finally, one inmate said, you know, all you can do is pray to God. All you can do is pray to God. So, as we continue now and prepare to share in the body and blood of Christ tonight, let us do just that. Let us ask God for the grace and the strength that we need to let go of anger and revenge in any form. Let go. Let God do the work.